Good morning. We had a stormy night and just fed the animals. I'm gonna go do a quick walk. It's been a minute. Um, got 8 eggs out of the barn because we had some chickens on the nest yesterday when the kids came out. And it was 8:30 whenever, no, it was like 8:45 whenever we got home from grocery shopping last night. So that didn't get done. But it's life. Our chaos garden is chaosing. We've got more tomatillas popping up every time I look. I found that plant that is tall right there in the chicken yard. That's a tomatillo. Off the back step, my hand made it all blurry, but off the back step, I keep lettuce in those green stalks. They're right there. Well, I noticed the other day I got lettuce off the back step. It's pretty funny, but anyways, you can kind of see there's that looks like cilantro that came up and already bolting in the grass. Another tomatillo. I'm hoping this ends up being just real pretty, but we're gonna have to dig it out because it's all over rock now. But we planted bulbs along there. And then the sunflowers, they're getting so tall. So excited for them to bloom. My other wild sunflower, the basil that's in there is getting huge. There's volunteer tomatoes in with the celery, but there's two tomatoes right there with blossom blooms on. They're doing way better than any of the tomatoes I started. I need to probably harvest all this cilantro and dehydrate it because otherwise I ain't gonna get none. I need to restart some. I got tomatillas and then marigolds. Just going crazy right here. It's so fun. But the peppers finally greened up. We put them in the ground and then we had torrential rains for a week. But then these tomatoes are coming in and the beans are periodically popping up through underneath the tomatoes. So I'm excited to see how that all looks. I'm finally getting some greens out of the garden. And the celery. There's so much celery. I shouldn't have to buy celery for the year, I think. And we're getting almost to the point that we can tie up these tomatoes there. And yeah, I want to get them tied up to the trellis and they'll make a whole big old wall. It's going to be gorgeous. Sage. Sounded like green, but I think it's just the rain coming off the trees. That is Tulsi basil, holy basil, whatever you want to call it. Resurrection Gardens are getting fussy. Probably need to do something with them. The greenhouse, this is probably going to be my project this week because it is becoming a jungle. Let's see, the tomato that's in here fell over. This thing is probably 4 feet tall. So I gotta do something with that. Got a ton of basil in here. We got marigolds in here, like this one. But then there's weeds in between it. There's a tomato that came up through the rock. Like these plants, they want to grow. This is still, I haven't got these in. These are obviously, they gone. But I do still have a few tomatoes that are kind of stunted. And some leeks. I'm going to get a bunch of onions. But this is mostly weeds, but there are some basil plants throughout. which is nice because I didn't get as much basil as I wanted to planted. And then I've got this weed, I think it's pokeweed, everywhere. The strawberry patch, I think we got another couple weeks on it, but the strawberries are definitely getting smaller. We've got maypop, and I think this one's gorgeous. It starts out as a pink little flower, and then it turns to this yellow flower. It's so pretty. I looked it up the other day. I can't remember what it said it was. The onion patch is getting more and more volunteers. And I say volunteers because they are very much volunteers of tomatillo. A tomato, I'm going to have to stake that one. It's so big. Another tomatillo. The thyme I did put in there. Another tomato. I do have to go through and I gotta pull. I'm not sure what this is. It almost acts like celery. I don't know. So this one is a weed. I'm pretty sure. I gotta identify it, but that's a tomatillo, and there are 2 strawberries down in there. So that is the soil we amended with this year. We've got, this is supposed to be the garlic patch, and it's become the weed patch. So it looks like the garlic's getting ready to die back. I'll pull all that out and reset that bed with something. I'm almost tempted. I've got another type of corn I wanted to do, and maybe I'll put all them seeds in there. So these were the Roma tomatoes, because they are a determinate, so I'll have them in the cages. There's a basil, or a few basil, and then the melons. And now I gotta figure out which one didn't germinate so I can put them in. These potatoes are going crazy. I'm hoping we have an amazing harvest out of that. So the other side, so the north side, this side is hot peppers, and this is sweet peppers. But I do know one of my sweet peppers does not make sweet peppers. And so we're going to figure that out this year, because I gave away some sweet peppers last year and they ended up not being sweet peppers. Oregano, turnips, I believe, that are doing fantastic. Some greens. The peas have been prolific. I thought that was morning glory, but them leaves are huge. So we'll see. But look at these peas. They're so big. I gotta get out here and harvest them. And we got some carrots. I'm excited. I'm gonna do a session on that. And this is a complete experiment, and I'm so excited to see that. Right now, it seems to be doing all right. We put squash in here, and then we came back through, which I know this is backwards to the actual method, but that's corn. And in each of the corn holes, there's also a bean. So you'll see right here, there's a bush bean right there, and a corn. So that will be, I think this will be really awesome to see how that turns out. But the squash is going crazy. We have snacking tomatoes on this trellis, and then all these zinnias that are through here are volunteers. And I was just letting them be. So we've got 3 more down here, and then again we did some more corn and beans, just to kind of continue that this way, and they'll hopefully help pollinate each other, and it'll just be a nice big food stock. But like I said, this squash is going crazy. I'm gonna have to train it down this side, And I had, they're starting to germinate. I'm seeing one down there, and we'll see how they do. But I put cucumber underneath the peas. And then over here, this was kale that I had some extra. That was a volunteer tomato. So it's probably just cherry tomato. These are radishes I need to get pulled up. More radishes. That's oregano. Over here where the tomatillas started and I didn't ever make a place for, because I've got so many volunteers and they ain't do nothing. Like this one, that one's still there, but, and there is one in there, but I don't know. And I put basil in between them, so we'll see if we get anything out of it. And then this was straight up chaos. The wall is gonna be San Marzano's tomatoes, but this was the corn and beans, which technically I planted these corn and beans. It might have been the same day, but I planted them later in the day and just literally sowed what was left from over there and just dumped them in this row we made, and it's doing fantastic. Like, I see so many corn and beans. The beans are way bigger than any of the other beans in my garden. So I'm excited to see what that does. I know it's only one row, and so I'll probably have to hand pollinate all them corn, but I think that's gonna be cool. We went and got a tiller, so we had to get the kayaks off the truck, so my lawn ornaments lately. And over here, this, I'm hoping it works, but we'll see. There are a ton of volunteer marigolds that just reseeded from last year, and that's kind of what I'm envisioning for this space, that it just be a reseeded space. We've got this poison sumac that's taken over the tree. It was a whole originally it was a bunch of small trees that were trying to take over this big one. Well, I wanted to keep the big one for shade in the afternoon and offer shade in the garden. So what I did was I mixed all my wildflower seeds. I had like 6 different types of milkweed, echinaceas, all kinds of stuff. Just mixed it in a bowl and I chaos-sowed it out here. So I'm hoping that we'll get some really pretty flowers. I know that it wasn't the right time of year. I know it wasn't the best conditions as far as soil, because we got so much stuff already growing. So I might have to do that again next year if this doesn't do nothing. But I'm hoping this whole bed, this is a huge bed. It doesn't look like it in the camera, but it is a huge bed. Let's see if we get down on the lower side with comparison to the truck behind it. The hill kind of takes away from it, but so it is 20 feet all the way across, and it is 20 feet down, but it is not a square. It's more of a pentagon shape. So, but then after I set all them seeds, now the chickens are all up in that space, and we'll see what happens. But I also would prefer this to be filled up a little bit more. And I'll probably end up this might be the only place that I'll leave these log beds that we made. These were trees we fell, and made this bed. And then my magnolia in the morning sun is one of my favorite things to come out and watch it. And I'm trying to decide. We pay someone to mow our grass, and I love him. He's amazing. But if I'm not paying him, I can put that money in my farm. And right now, this whole field is just wildflowers. It's daisies, it's buttercups, it's dandelions. I have a ton of plantain. down here especially. Apparently they relaxed the septic access because there's wide leaf and narrow leaf right next to each other. So I need to come out and harvest a bunch of that. But this stays fairly cool and wet. So we get a lot of that kind of stuff down here, and it gets real dense. So down here I'll have to mow. But I'm kind of thinking I want to keep the hillside a bit wild. One, it just pulls in all the pollinators, having all them flowers. You don't really see it, but literally that's all dandelions and buttercups out there. And then would maintain around the porches so we don't get snakes and stuff. But yeah, so that and that are actually lettuce. And the strawberries and the green stalk ain't doing much. I'm not seeing blooms. I'm not seeing a whole lot of growth, but I am getting a couple suckers. I'm wanting to get these out of there. All this lettuce is reseed. It's not exactly my favorite, but I can't complain about free food I didn't do nothing for. So, and there's marigolds in there too, and in with the basil. So that is our garden walk. It's kind of chaos still, but most of the stuff's in the ground, and we're starting to get food. So I'm excited for what this season has to hold.